Trump was in fact speaking to a bunch of farmer representatives, farmer organizations last night, and he took off on Indian rice being dumped into the United States. So is India dumping rice in the United States? Now, India produces nearly 150 million metric tons of rice. It's the world's largest producer of rice. It amounts for 28% of the total global share of rice output that is put out every single year. China follows at a close second. China produces 27% of the global share of rice output, and that of course is then followed by smaller countries, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam. These are countries that have single-digit contribution as far as the total global rice output is concerned. Out of this 28% global rice output that India produces, how much actually goes to the United States? In fact, the US is not even in the top 5 major export destinations for Indian rice. The largest happens to go to Saudi Arabia, almost 10% there, 9.67% of the total rice output that is exported from India goes to Saudi Arabia. It is then followed by other countries in the Middle East, including Iran, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, Benin, and also Bangladesh. India exports even 3.7% of its total rice output to a small country like Togo. But to the United States, only 3.15% of India's rice exports go to the United States. So when Trump says that India is dumping low-priced Indian basmati rice into the American market, as far as India is concerned, it is only 3% of the total rice output, the total rice exports that India sends from India to other countries. The US trade team is in India this week, even as Trump has gone off on a rant about Indian rice exports. We just broke down the actual amount of rice that India exports to the United States. While India was the first to start trade negotiations with the Trump administration, it is still one of the few countries that has not wrapped up a trade deal with Trump. Now, both the reciprocal tariffs, that's 25%, and the Russian oil tariffs, another 25%, are both still very much there. And that makes India one of the highest tariff-paying countries in the world. At 50%, India and Brazil are the two only countries which are paying 50% tariffs for export into America. Even China is paying less. Meanwhile, Indian diplomacy is on a high, particularly after last week's successful visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin. India and Russia have pledged to expand their trade to $100 billion by the end of the decade and also diversify trade away from just oil and gas. But the big question is, can Russia offset some of the trade hiccups that India is currently having with America? Can Russia be a trusted partner